What is up, guys? Thanks for tuning in to the next episode of the Three Peaks Fitness Podcast. I'm Coach Mark.
I'm Coach Lynette.
And today we're really excited, actually. So we had another topic we were going to talk about, but this one we felt like was extremely important because we are obviously fitness professionals. We're in the fitness industry, and there's a trend happening that we're noticing with a lot of our clients and just the fitness industry as a whole. So this is something we felt like was really important to kind of get the message out there. And we think it's going to resonate with a lot of people.
Yeah.
So one of the things we're noticing in this post-pandemic world is that people just don't have the mental bandwidth that they did pre-pandemic.
No.
Meaning we're noticing that our clients and other people out there trying to pursue fitness, they don't have the resilience that they did.
Mm-hmm.
And when things come up in life, they're giving up more easily.
Yeah.
This is
definitely
something that is alarming because when life gets stressful, fitness is usually one of the best vehicles to navigate those stressful time periods. But because of all the traumas that we went through with the pandemic, and we recorded a whole podcast on post-pandemic malaise a couple of weeks ago, going more in depth about this, but basically, all the traumas that we endured during the pandemic have us burnt out.
Yeah.
Right. We were sitting inside all day. We weren't outside. We weren't talking to people. We weren't communicating. We felt isolated. Maybe our loved ones were getting sick. Maybe some of our loved ones even passed away. It was a really traumatic experience that very few people have fully recognized and addressed. And we're all, as a society, still trying to honestly navigate. I mean, it's still going on, right? It's not as dangerous as it was, but people are still getting sick.
Yeah.
And so it's not quite over. And a lot of people haven't addressed just how deeply it's impacted them. And we're starting to see that in a world that is open, right? Like everything is open for business. There's no restrictions on anything.
Yeah.
But we are seeing the behavioral differences and the lack of ability to remain resilient and the favoring of giving up instead of trying to, navigate a fitness journey.
Yeah, definitely seeing that. I feel like people their reserves are empty, right?
Yeah.
I feel like everyone's reserves were kind of low before the pandemic. We were all busy. We were on our devices a lot before the pandemic, and then pandemic hit, everything got canceled for 2.5 years.
Yeah.
Holidays, trips, everything got canceled. All these things things that we relied on to help fill our tanks got taken away. And then now we're back in. People are trying to go on vacations again, and they're thinking, oh, that's going to refill my tank. I'm going to go on this trip. It's going to be great. And it is great while you're gone. But then when you come home, you're back to your job, back to school, back to all the stresses, and your tank is empty again. Like the vacation didn't fix it like it used to.
Yeah.
And so we're seeing that in a lot of people trying to start a fitness journey or continue a fitness journey. They just don't have that same amount of push that they used to have. Like they're just giving up. Like, oh, I'll start, later. They're procrastinating. They're missing workouts. They're kind of not making the choices that they could if they had just a little more in their reserves. So just burned out.
Yeah, and that's why we're seeing, it's interesting you said about the when.
Yeah.
When life is perfect, then I'll get back to my health and fitness.
Yeah, we're waiting for some ideal thing.
Right, and that is indicative of what's known as the pause button mentality.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people have that. And if you are someone who has noticed that you have a tendency to, you get really excited, you get really motivated. Oh, I need to get in shape. I'm going to do, look at this program. This is a perfect program. It's a 6-week challenge.
Mm-hmm.
It's P90X, for 90 days. It's this beach body thing. I'm joining this group because, this is mom workout for 12 weeks that,
Yeah.
If you find yourself as one of those people who is drawn to those and you participate them, and maybe you do get results, right? Like a lot of times people do get results during that event, however long that event takes. But you find yourself once the event is over, falling back into your old ways, you're probably someone who is subject to,
Yeah.
the chains of the pause button mentality.
Well, and the marketing industry has kind of taught it to us.
Yes.
It's like, yeah, you're going to transform your body in 45 days.
Right.
They're putting all these time limits on health and fitness when there is no time limit on health and fitness. You're going to be alive until you're not alive anymore.
Yeah. A lot of the fitness industry, the stuff we see is the fitness equivalent of, the snake oil salesman, get rich quick schemes, right?
Yeah.
It's like the fitness equivalent of get rich quick, right? Lose weight quick. It's the same thing, but for some reason with fitness, we have a tendency to, I don't know if deep down everyone believes it, but we want to believe it because I think we are in so much emotional pain, right? We look in the mirror and it's like, oh my gosh, I do not like the way I look, right? Or maybe you've struggled with weight your whole life, and so it's just such a deeply rooted emotional thing that you're willing to believe a lie in order to try and heal that pain.
You go for the magic beans, right? You're selling your cow for the magic beans. Like, I'll just try this.
Yeah. And
you're hoping it works.
Yeah. And so you fall victim to a lot of these pause button mentality schemes. And just to kind of give you guys an example of what some of the pause button mentality schemes are. Schemes. Call them schemes because they kind of are in a way. But anyway, so one of the examples that I used is P90X. Working out for 60 to 90 minutes, 6 days per week. It's not going to last.
Most people can't keep that up.
No. Very, 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 very few. If you are single, no responsibilities, live on your own, have a job where you control your own schedule to a T, then maybe you could. If in a vacuum, that would work. But what happens after the 90 days? Right. Are you going to continue working out an hour to an hour and a half, 6 days per week? No, you're not. Right. If you have a family, if you have a job, if you have hobbies, it's just not realistic. It's not sustainable. It's a pause button mentality. Yeah. Workout because it's within the confines of P90X's requirements, right? So P90X isn't working into your life. You're having to work your life into P90X's overly rigid. Yeah. So then they can if it doesn't work, they can always turn around and tell you, well, you didn't do the program. You didn't do what we told you. Yeah. So P90X is one. Weight Watchers is another one. Is another pause button mentality program, because if you're not tracking,
you're not doing the program.
You're not doing the program. Yeah. See? And Weight Watchers is super tricky because when you are tracking, right? Yeah, you're going to lose weight. Oh,
it totally works while you're doing it.
Right. But it's just not sustainable.
You can't track your food for the rest of your life.
Yeah, you're just not going to do that.
No,
and
it's not realistic.
And it forces you to rely on their strategies. Again, it forces you to fit your life into their mold of what you should be doing. And that's never sustainable. We have a saying here, if it's not sustainable, it's not worth doing. If you can't do it for the rest of your life, don't do it for a second. Yeah. It's just not worth it, because it's not going to arm you with the strategies necessary to actually lose weight, get in shape, and maintain that for the rest of your life. Yeah. Right? Yeah. Juice cleanses.
Oh my gosh.
You want to talk about juice cleanses?
I die a little. I think a fairy dies every time someone says they're going to do a juice cleanse. Yeah. It just really makes me sad, because microbiome experts hate juice cleanses because it's been marketed as something that resets your biome and detoxifies you and helps you feel better. And a lot of people with IBS fall for this too. They think it's going to fix their microbiome and make them feel better. Yeah. But it does the opposite. It destroys your microbiome. Yeah. So in order for your gut to function well, you need to eat certain foods that don't upset your stomach and that promote a good microbiome. So a juice cleanse is not the way to go. It's just another magic pill that people think are going to do. Right? Yeah,
it can mess you up, and again, it's sneaky because you'll lose weight on it, right? Yeah. Because you're not eating anything.
Yeah, Right.
So-
It's a fancy
oh,
fast.
I did my 5-day cleanse and I lost 5 pounds. Like, yeah,
You
well,
lost
you didn't
water.
eat, you didn't eat any carbs. You didn't
Right.
eat any. But again, it forces you to fit your life into
Right.
the cleanse.
Right.
Like,
And it's a pause button thing, right? You do a short
Right.
spurt of
Right.
something that's intense,
right.
but it's not something that you can do for the next 70 years.
Yeah. Yeah.
So no, don't do it.
Those cleanses, those shakes. I know there are some like shake programs out there. Oh, lose weight and do. What was the one back in the day? Slim Fast. Remember Slim Fast?
They were huge. Yeah. 2 Slim Fasts and 1 reasonable meal in the evening.
Yeah, like what are you just starving yourself? So that's another one.
Yeah.
So this one's more of a mentality than a program.
Yeah.
The traditional CrossFit mentality
Okay.
of workout till you puke. That's an
Okay.
all or nothing. That's a pause button mentality
Yeah.
of sorts within a smaller
Right.
window, right? So on a workout to workout basis, it's all out, right? Like if I'm not puking,
Right.
it was a waste of a workout,
Yeah.
right? And that is an unhealthy way.
So that's that stop and go.
yeah.
It's that stop and go mentality. Where you go really fast and then stop.
Yeah.
And then go really fast and then stop.
Yeah, and in a similar vein, you have the bodybuilding mentality of like, oh, if I work out and I'm not sore the next day, well, that was a waste of time. Why did I even do that, right?
So this is what happens with those two different mentalities is the next time it's time for a workout, you're less likely to go because you're like, oh, I'm going to be sore. I don't have time. I don't have the energy
Right.
for this all out workout. It's going to be really hard. Oh, I have an injury. I can't do that because I can't do it to that level.
Yeah.
You're not allowing yourself any wiggle room.
Right. And
Yeah.
so basically, in a nutshell, the pause button mentality, it preys on non-stressful points in time and gives you a false sense of what you're capable of long term.
Yeah.
Because if you had a video of your entire life, right, and you could go to the chapters where you start these types of pause button mentality programs, I can almost guarantee what you'll find is that you start them during times of low stress when there's not a lot of other stuff going on in your life,
Yeah.
right? So very, very, very few people start a workout program when things are super hectic and they have this crazy project at work and they got, they've got their kids are in travel soccer and they got to go, blah, blah, blah,
Yeah.
right? Very few people.
Like you're 7 months pregnant and your dad is sick in the hospital.
Right.
And you've got a major deadline at work. Most people aren't starting a program during that.
Yeah. But so when things are slow, it's like, oh,
like,
okay.
oh, I'm
I have
gonna do this
time
thing.
Now I'm going to get in shape.
Yeah.
Right? And,
Yeah.
and so you're starting this program at a time where your life is not normal, meaning because life
Yeah.
is normally hectic, right? Normally,
Yeah.
most of us have a lot going on. And so you go into it with this false sense of security that, oh yeah, I'll be able to do this forever. Because maybe your life remains chill for, a month or 2 months, or maybe you're like 3-4 months, who knows?
Yeah.
Right. But eventually
Yeah.
life will get hectic again. And you will be forced to confront the fact that the program that you're taking part in is not sustainable. And and what most people do, and what we're going to talk about here in a second,
Yeah.
what you should do versus what you should do. Most people, we give up, right?
They're like,
It's
I need to take a break.
yeah, I need to take a break. Like,
Yeah.
I need to pause.
Yeah, I need to press pause on this because I
Yeah.
can't do this because people have this idea in their head that fitness requires like this huge chunk out of their day or out
Right.
of their brain.
Yeah.
And if you can't do that big chunk, then you do nothing.
Oh, it's pass fail, right?
Yeah.
Either I'm doing it or I'm not. And again, this is reinforced by these pause button mentality programs.
Yeah.
If I am tracking what I'm eating, I am passing Weight Watchers, right? If I'm not tracking what I'm eating, I'm failing Weight Watchers. It's pass fail, right? If I am sore the next day after my workout, I am passing, bodybuilding training.
Yeah.
If I'm not sore the next day, I have failed, right? And so many of these fitness and nutrition ideology, I call them schemes. They're kind of like schemes. They're sneaky. Turn fitness into a pass fail. But what you need to do, and this is what anyone who has gotten in shape and has maintained their results for an extended period of time will tell you, they may not call it this exactly, but this is what they're doing. And it's utilizing what we call here the dial method.
Yeah.
And Lynette, you actually taught me, you actually put a name to it. So
Yeah.
do you want to explain what the dial method
dial
is and
method.
why it's so important?
Okay, so listen up. The dial method is a life-changing concept. It's a new mindset. So instead of taking breaks from stuff and pushing the pause button on things, you're going to have a dial instead. And that dial has 10 channels. And it looks different for everybody. And each area of your life has its own dial. So channel 10 on a fitness dial for me might look like, okay, a 1 hour workout in the gym and then, running 3 miles a day. That would be great, right? And then a mud race once a month. Like that would just be, whew, I'm at a 10. This is great. And then like a 1 for me, like that's when life is super crazy, right? Maybe there's an illness in the family, work is really busy. Then I'm doing squats and push-ups, right? Like 10 squats, 10 push-ups by my bed before I go to bed. That's my workout, and that's all I can do. And so on that day, it may seem like, well, you're not really going to make much progress doing 10 squats and 10 push-ups by your bed at night, but it's a very different place to be when you have that dial in at a 1 or a 2 or a 3 rather than just shutting it off. Because it mentally keeps you in the game and it gives you something to build on. Right. So if I'm doing 10 squats and 10 push-ups at night before I go to bed, then that gives me something like, oh, I can increase from there. But if I just shut it off like, oh, it's crazy, I don't have time for any movement today, then I slide back. And so what happens when you're pushing pause button is you do a little progress, push pause, and then it dips down. And so it's like you're going like this, right?
Yeah.
So you never actually make progress,
Right?
Because progress looks like the stock market, like this, but you net a gain over time. But if you're doing the pause button, you never get off the ground. You're just kind of doing these little bumps. But if you do the dial, then it will look like the stock market, and you will eventually move up. Over time, it's going to accumulate. Right. So what I do with people is like, all right, each area of your life has a dial. You have a fitness dial, an eating well dial, a work dial, hobbies dial, family dial, sleep dial. Just every area of your life has a dial. They can't all be at 10 all the time. And that's where we run into the pause button mentality. Like, oh, I can't do this, because they think everything has to be at a 10. But I don't know a single person that's healthy that... because there are some really extreme people that try to go 10 and they're able to keep it up for a while, but they eventually burn out. So to keep from burnout, you got to figure out where you are on the dial in each thing.
Yeah.
But remember, they can't all be on 10. There might be one area on 10 for a while and then the others are at like 4, 5, 1. But consciously decide, all right, where am I on each of these dials? And acknowledge it, and don't feel guilty about it. Guilt plays a lot in the pause button mentality. Yeah. But if you've got the dials going, then you can feel good about it. It relieves you of the guilt that can happen.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, that's so true. Guilt, I feel like, plays a huge role. It's not often talked about when it comes to getting in shape, but feeling guilty is not helpful. It's not going to, feeling guilty about what you did, what you haven't done, is not going to get you any closer to your results in the dial method, because it does allow you to adjust it. It changes the question from, let's say, you want to get in shape, right? So you say, I'm going to work out 5 days per week, right? The pause button mentality, the question is, did you work out 5 days this week? The dial method question, or the dial method changes that question from, did you work out 5 days this week, to, were you active this week?
Yeah. Did you get your movement in?
Did you get your movement in?
Did you do something every day?
Did you do something every day, right?
Yeah.
And that something could be just doing 5 squats.
Yeah.
Maybe you have your Tuesdays are crazy and you're literally going from 6 a.m. to 9 p.m. and there just really is no way for you to squeeze in a full workout. Maybe when you're at little Timmy's soccer practice, you're walking. Maybe you just walk around the practice field. Walk laps.
Yeah.
Do some squats, be a good influence, get the other parents to get up off their butts and join you. But anyway, But and don't ever discount
Yeah.
the impact of something small like 5 squats or incorporating a handful of vegetables. We were talking about this earlier. There's
Yeah.
no way to quantify it.
Yeah.
But if you were able to, if I was Einstein and I could figure out an equation for it, right?
Yeah.
Like let's use the example. We're not using the pause button mentality. We're using the dial method, right? And so I'm trying to be healthy. I'm trying to lose weight. And I know a part of that is eating better, right?
Yeah.
But I just have a crazy week. Like there's absolutely no way I'm going to be able to cook dinner every day this week.
Nope. That's not going to happen.
That's not going to happen. Yeah. So maybe my goal then is, did I have a serving of vegetables every day, which is more than realistic. Grab a handful of, peppers, as a snack, or have a salad. Salads are quick, right? Make a salad, bring a salad with it. There's ways to do it. And if all you can do on that busy Tuesday is have one handful of vegetables as a snack, you may think, oh, what is this really doing?
Right. It's like, this isn't going to, in the short term, of course you're not going to lose weight doing that.
Yeah. But again, if I were Einstein and I could quantify that, let's say that serving of vegetables, extends your life by 5 minutes, right?
Okay.
So in a vacuum, in a nutshell, like quantitative, like 5 minutes, I'm on my deathbed anyway, what is that, right? But you take that 5 minutes, and expand it over the course of 30, 40, 50 years, however much longer you'll be alive, right? And multiply that by the number of times that you only have a serving of vegetables that day, it compounds. It compounds. And not only does it compound, over time, not only does it multiply, but it then next time one serving of vegetables is easy. And now you're like, oh, I feel like I can handle 2 servings of vegetables, even though I'm just as busy on this Tuesday as I was 6 months ago, and I got to go to little Timmy's soccer practice, right? One serving of vegetables on a busy day is nothing. Now I can do 2.
Yeah. I literally had one client, he was really used to eating out all the time. Mm-hmm. And he's really struggling with vegetables. And I said, well, when you order your hamburger, make sure it has extra lettuce and tomatoes on it. That was it.
Yeah. But hey.
That was it.
And nobody is, and that's a great point, because the fitness industry again is predatory and will make you think that what you're doing isn't good enough, and try to fit you into their box. Everybody is at a different point. For that particular client, that's where he was at, or she, or whatever was at. That's where they were at.
Yeah.
And that's good enough for them. That's where they need to start. For someone else, they may be further along, or someone else may be further back. For someone else, it may be, hey, let's just try to get some lettuce on your hamburger. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
you know what I mean? They may not be ready for extra lettuce and tomato. It's just, but you have to start somewhere.
Yeah.
And you can't judge yourself, and you can't be guilty, and you have to be really, really real with yourself and determine where you are. And the only way to do that is by using the dial method, so that you can adjust accordingly and move away from that pause button mentality.
Yeah. Whenever I have a client that's sometimes when something bad's going to happen, like, oh, I'm going to have surgery, I'm about to have a baby. Like, sometimes when the tidal wave is coming. Mm-hmm. And so we plan for it. Like, okay, what is your minimum on your worst day? What are you going to do? Like, okay, on my worst day, I'm going to have 5 baby carrots and I'm going to do 5 squats. Like, that's what I'm going to do on my worst day. So now they know their minimum. You got to know what your one is ahead of time. But even if you don't, you can use, we've done a podcast on this, you can use the 5-minute action and say, okay, I didn't expect today to be so bad. Like, maybe you end up in the ER for 5 hours. Mm-hmm. Not fun, but it's happened to me many times where, here we are at the ER. Okay, what am I going to do? I actually had a client that did squats next to her dad's hospital bed. So
that's awesome.
I mean, you can, it's all about your mentality and just being willing to do the small thing and the thing that doesn't seem to make a difference right now. Yeah. But it makes a difference mentally and physically over time.
Yeah, that's a great point. Yeah, humble yourself. Mm-hmm. You're not to that point yet. We see fitness is tricky because we move every day, and we eat every day, and so we have this mindset that we should somehow be further along than we really are, because it's like, oh, working out is just moving intensely, right?
Yeah,
Like, and I move every day, so I should be able to do a power clean. No, like it's a skill. Working out is a skill. Developing the habit of working out is a skill. It's all a skill. Same thing with nutrition. I eat every day, so I just need to change what I eat. No, eating well is a skill, and just like in if you're learning to play an instrument, or martial arts maybe is a better example. In martial arts, right, you have you move every day. That doesn't make you a black belt. Right, like you have to develop the skill and progress accordingly. And so just like, if you're in martial arts and you go in and you challenge your sensei and say, I want to be a black belt, he's going to laugh at you and be like, look, grasshopper, you need to chill. All right, like humble yourself. You're not even a white belt yet. Like you just started, you know what I mean? So you need to have that beginner's mindset, humble yourself, and realize that if you haven't been able to lose weight, get in shape, and sustain it, it's because you are lacking the skills to do so, and those skills are really mental. It's a mental
the skill of keeping going in the in the fog of daily life, right? And that is a skill. Figuring out, okay, I'm doing that bare minimum. Because so many of us are like, we want to do, the best. We always want to do our best and go 100%. We've been taught that to go extreme. It's sort of the American mentality.
Oh yeah.
So, but we gotta unlearn that and learn how to just do a terrible job.
Yeah.
Do a terrible job.
Be a C student.
Yeah.
Like just when it comes to getting in shape, just strive to be a C student.
Yeah, C's get degrees.
C's get degrees. That's right.
Yeah.
May take you a little longer, but C's get degrees.
But yeah, the person that's willing to do like the little things, the awkward, terrible things that just don't look like they're going to make a difference, they have a much more success rate, a higher success rate than the people that are all or nothing. And do like the incredible body transformation in 4 months, those people oftentimes, hit the pause button. It's like, oh, my kid got sick. Oh, it's not perfect anymore,
Right.
But the person that's like, this is like the classic tortoise versus the hare. The tortoise always wins.
Yeah.
The tortoise always wins the race.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. You've had a couple of clients who've really embodied this.
Yes.
Do you want to talk about that?
Yeah. So I have a client right now who just had an ankle replacement. She is incredible. And even before that, this whole past year has been like one of the worst years of her life. So she started coaching with me a little over a year ago, and they were planning on this international move, going to move overseas. And she was having trouble with her kids at school and the bureaucracy. There was a huge backup with the pandemic with all the moving logistics with her company and the medical needs and all kinds of stuff just kept getting in the way, and they ended up not being able to travel together. And so just one disappointing thing after another, just huge amount of stress, unbelievable amount of stress. So every week was, okay, what can we do this week? What can we do this week? And then she's dealing with this bad ankle for the past year. And so we were like, okay, you can ride a bike. And then a lot of different health problems, but she's always had that mentality of, all right, I can do 5 minutes of meditation a day. I can eat this cup of vegetables. Like every week we're just clawing at that tiny little 1% improvement. And then she just discovered a month ago, like after she had to move, that the ankle repair that had been done 2 years ago was poorly done. And so they had to be totally replaced, a total ankle replacement, like huge disappointment, like it's messed up her plans to move overseas. So here she is this week, sitting in bed, just had surgery, and I sent her exercises to do in bed so that her dial is on a 1, and she's doing arm lifts and leg lifts in bed. That's her workout. Yeah. And then she is eating protein and vegetables that she prepped before she had the surgery. So that's what she's doing. And she's about to run out of all the food that she prepped. So I had met with her last night. I said, okay, you're running out of the food you prepped. What now? How are you going to get your protein and vegetables now? Like you're bedridden, how's this going to work? So we came up with a plan to figure that out. Like, okay, on the days you have a lot of energy, this will be your minimum. And on the days you have no energy, this will be your minimum. And it seems ridiculous, the plan that we came up with, because it's just so tiny, the things she's doing.
Yeah.
You know, like, oh, sitting here doing this in bed. Is this
Raising
going
your
to,
arm up and down.
you know, what's this going to do? And it just seems ridiculous, but it is a game changer mentally, right? So she is going to she's made progress in the face of really huge,
Yeah.
a mountain of stress and
Yeah.
opposition.
Yeah.
But she is way ahead than she would have been if she had pushed the pause button and said, this isn't a good time in my life to do this. Because in reality, your life doesn't stop. And the times when, a few weeks out of the year, it might click. Like, oh yeah, everything's lining up. The workouts are great. I'm making progress. I'm hitting PRs. Everything's great. I'm planning these beautiful, well-balanced meals, and I'm cooking in the evenings, and the kids are getting along. And there might be a few days out of the year where but most of the time you're just getting by. Yeah. You're just doing the little 5-minute things.
Yeah.
That's the reality.
Yeah, and we were talking about this earlier. You want to have the same mindset in fitness that you have in other areas of your life.
Yeah.
You use the example of parenting.
Yeah.
If things aren't going well, like, okay, let's say you have a crazy project at work.
Yeah.
Right? You're not just going to be like, go to your significant other and be like, hey, you got this. I'm going to take a couple of weeks off. When things are better, I'm going to pick it back up.
Yeah, I'm going to hit pause on parenting now.
Yeah, I'm just going to pause the whole parenting thing right now because, just a lot is going. I have a lot going on, right? You're not going to do that, or
that's not going to go over well.
It's not going to go over well. I don't recommend that. Or a band is at a concert, right? They're playing a concert, and someone misses a note. Happens all the time, right? Like someone messes up. Half the time we don't even notice because they're professionals and they've mastered the art of keeping it going. And, but anyway, if your favorite artists were up there pouring, let's say you're at a Metallica concert, right, and someone misses a note, and that would be like them just stopping and being like, oh, you know what? Let's pick this back up next week, guys, and just leaving the arena. And,
even if they say, "Oh, we need to restart that song because I missed a note."
Right. It's like, no, you're not going to do that. That's not how life works. And at work, if you mess something up with your job, if you're in IT and the project you're managing is the when you put it out, it doesn't go well or whatever. You're not just going to quit, right? You're not just going to be like, oh, well. IT isn't for me. Like, no, you keep going. And that's just what life is. And it's really unfortunate and it's heartbreaking as a trainer to see it happen so frequently where people are just so willing to give up on their health because something else in life is happening. Because life is happening, you could say. Something goes wrong. Something happens. They get busy. Instead of trying to find a solution and being solution oriented. So many people just have a tendency to give up. And it's really unfortunate because those types of decisions are really going to come back to bite people in the ass later on in life. When you can get away with doing that now when you're in your 30s, 40s, maybe even your 50s. But as you get into your late 50s, your 60s, 70s, you're going to be like, damn, why didn't I just... why was I so inflexible with my fitness?
Right. And by the time you're in your 60s, all that pause button that you've been pushing since you were 25 years old, that has caught up. That all catches up, and you go into the doctor one day and they're like, oh, you got diabetes. Yeah. That's from years of pause button mentality. Oh, you have osteoporosis. Oh, that's from years of, I'm afraid of barbells. I don't want to, I don't have time. The kids need this. I don't have time to do I don't have time to do anything, right? So when you do nothing, your body is going to suffer over time. It's going to feel it.
Your body's spiteful. It'll remind you every single day in your 70s when your hip hurts. It'll remind you like, hey, remember when I tried to get you remember I tried to warn you? In your 40s, I tried to warn you. Be active, stick with it.
Right.
But you didn't listen.
Time is on your side now.
Yeah.
Right? So, it's never too late. I've seen 80-year-old women start barbell training. I've seen it. Yeah. But
it's never too late.
Wait. Yeah, but don't wait.
Yeah, it's never too late, but there's definitely a point in time you'll reach where what should we call it? Like your ability to avoid or put off anything serious.
Right. No one has
Passes.
ever said, "Oh, I'm so sad that I took care of myself when I was younger." I'm so
Yeah.
sad that no one has ever said that.
Yeah.
Right? It's always going to pay off. The earlier you start, the better. But wherever you're at, however you're old right now, just get started and doing something small. Right?
Yeah.
Decide what your dial method is. So this is what I suggest people do. Make a list on a piece of paper, 1 to 10, or draw a fake dial if you're visual like me. Decide what's my minimum. What can I do on my worst day? Just think of the worst possible day. Like for me, all day in the ER. That's just a crap day for me. Like if I have to spend all day in the ER. All right, what am I going to do on that day? What are meals going to look like? If I have to eat at the hospital, what's that going to look like? Like, okay, figure that out. And then what's your 10? Like, what's your ideal fitness day? Organic foods and I don't know, whatever it is, and a wonderful 90-minute workout in the gym, whatever the ideal fitness day for you. And then fill in all the in-between gradual things like eating slowly, eating a lean protein. Just figure out what your eating dial is and your fitness dial. And just keep in mind that work and family time and hobbies, those have dials too, and figure out what those dials look like too. But for starters, start with your fitness and your eating dials, like your nutrition dials, and figure out what those in, and figure out, okay, is this a level 2 day? Is this a channel 10 day? Like what is today? And figure out, sometimes you can look at your week and go, oh, well, that can be a 10 that day, and Tuesday is going to be a 2 because that's all day in the car driving people everywhere. So obviously not going to be a 10 that day, but do something.
Yeah.
Do something.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, you have to be flexible.
Yeah.
You got to be flexible.
You got to believe
so
that
rigid.
the little things matter. That's because it's keeping a promise to yourself.
Yeah. And the little things, that's what getting in shape actually looks like. It doesn't look like the crazy David Goggins running 10 miles a day, you know.
Yeah.
The crazy Instagram influencer who's only eats, chicken and acai bowls, whatever you're looking at. If you look at that and you're like, I couldn't really do that for an extended period of time, don't.
Yeah.
Because that's not what your fitness looks like.
Yeah. What will fit in my life? Instead of fitting yourself into someone else's program, think, what's going to fit in my life? What can I do mentally, physically, emotionally? What can I handle today?
Yeah.
It's always something.
Yeah.
I don't know anybody that hasn't done something during the day for their health. Even if it's putting a seatbelt on when you get in the car, you've done something for your health, and give yourself credit for that.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, hopefully this was enlightening and helpful, guys. Use that dial method. Seriously, this is more important now than it's ever been because we're all operating with nothing in reserve. Our mental bandwidth is at an all-time low. We're stressed out. We haven't coped with the pandemic we just lived through. You need to stay active, take care of your body from a nutritional standpoint, and the dial method is exactly how you do it in this post-pandemic world.
Yeah.
So, all right, guys, we will talk to you next time.
All right. Bye.